What happens when you stop explaining yourself to someone who always demands an explanation? They may suddenly become angry, confused, or desperate to pull you back into the conversation. Endless explanations can become a form of control. The moment you stop playing that game, the power dynamic changes. Suddenly, they have less access to your emotions, your time, and your decisions. And the first sign is usually something people mistake for a simple disagreement. Toxic people often ask questions that are not really questions. Why did you do that? Why didn't you call? Why are you acting like this? But notice the pattern. You explain. They challenge the explanation. You explain again. They find another problem. Suddenly, a simple decision has become a courtroom where you are the defendant. So what happens when you refuse to enter? You say, "That's my decision." Then you stop. No long story. No list of reasons. No desperate attempt to make them understand. But a toxic person may not want understanding. They may want access to your reasoning so they can find something to attack. And when that access disappears, their next move can reveal everything. They may change the subject. They may bring up something you did months ago. They may accuse you of being selfish or disrespectful. Why? Because your decision is no longer the issue. Your independence is. If they cannot change your mind with facts, they may try changing it with guilt. That is why the next reaction matters so much, because pressure often reveals the real motive. They may suddenly demand more details. Just tell me why. What's the real reason? You're hiding something. You can say, "I've already answered." Then let the silence do the work. The pause reveals whether they respect your answer or simply want control. Here is where things get interesting. Healthy people can disagree with you without needing to break your boundary. They might say, "I don't agree, but I understand." Toxic behavior often looks different. The pressure continues. The accusations become sharper. The goalposts move. Suddenly, nothing you say is enough. And that tells you the problem was never your explanation. There is another reason toxic people panic when you stop explaining. Explanations create openings. Every extra sentence contains a detail they can question. Every reason can become a debate. Every emotional statement can become evidence against you. When you give less information, there are fewer doors to push through. You are not being rude. You are becoming harder to manipulate. But there is a deeper shift happening inside you. When you stop explaining, you begin trusting your own judgment. You stop asking, "Can I make them understand?" and start asking, "Do I understand my own decision?" It does not need applause. It does not collapse when someone disapproves. And another change appears. You become less reactive. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head. You stop writing paragraphs to people who already decided to misunderstand you. You stop treating another person's anger as proof that you did something wrong. Their reaction becomes information, not an instruction. And that may be the most powerful transformation of all. Not every person who asks for an explanation is toxic. Sometimes people genuinely need context, especially in relationships, families, or workplaces. The difference is what happens after you answer. Respectful people can accept a boundary. Manipulative people may keep demanding access until you surrender, especially when they realize your answer is no longer negotiable. So remember this: you do not owe everyone a perfectly packaged defense of your choices. You can explain when it helps. You can clarify when it matters. But you can also stop when the conversation becomes a trap. Because sometimes the strongest sentence is not a long explanation. It is simply, "I've made my decision." And maybe that is the deepest lesson. Peace begins when you stop trying to earn permission to be yourself. So ask yourself honestly, how much of your life have you spent explaining decisions that were already yours to make? If this changed the way you see boundaries and emotional control, subscribe for more psychology and human behavior videos.